You want to learn something about Uma Musume? Sakamoto Days Core 2. Oh wait, it's part 2. At first I was not even gonna talk about this trailer that came out, but there's actually some really good things about this and how it looks different, not just talking about the movement. People were pretty disappointed about part 1, not really reaching that expectation that the manga set for the fans. The animation was lacking, the boards were pretty basic, action direction was good, making limited moments hit more, but that really didn't save it for the most part. Although I still would give it a 9 out of 10. Wait. There we go. A new trailer for part 2 dropped, and I'm surprised. While I still don't think it will reach the expectation of the manga, but it definitely looks better to part 1 visually, and there's good looking cuts in this trailer, better than anything part 1 probably. The old man drawing his sword looks crazy, and the drawing quality looks good. Another thing that was not utilized much in part 1 was the CG backgrounds. Yes, there was some CG usage, but it was very minimal, although right now we can't really see the full picture. Part 2 looks like they're gonna use quite a bit of it for the major fights, especially this one, so I'm glad to see that. The staff is obviously not different. The director, art director, compositing artist, character designer, color designer is the same, nothing is different. It's obvious that this is just a core 2, but split to give it more time. It's nothing new. Of course, a downside about Netflix animes is that they have to finish it like 1 month prior, around that, before it airs, because they're gonna English dub it right off the bat before it airs. Overall animation, there's definitely some highlights in the trailer alone. Of course, you want to put all the good shit in the trailer, or you can be like Blue Lock U20. Already some of the cuts just look better than part 1. I am a manga reader, but I'm not caught up to where part 2 is gonna fully adapt it. Some of the stuff like Sakamoto vs. Slur, I haven't read to that point, but this part is gonna be more large scale, more ambitious in a way. So yes, they might have prioritized this core more compared to part 1, just because of the content it's covering. So what does it look better? I don't know. Yes, Sakamoto Days can attract talent because of how popular the manga is, but part 1 only had 2-3 action directors and a couple of effects animation directors to do the bulk of it. Animation producer for Sakamoto Days, Genki Ito, doesn't really have that much connections. I mean, he was Annie P for Fruit Basket, but there wasn't really anyone on that show. People do underestimate the anime because that is one of the most important pieces for a production. They are the ones that picks out the staff, like directors and shit. I don't think part 1 is gonna have a better schedule. Usually part 2 or core 2 gets the end of the stick, like My Hero Season 6, Blue Lock Season 1, a lot more. And just recently too, Soul Leveling, although core 2 or season 2 had a lot more highs, but it had more lows compared to season 1 because of the schedule was tighter than your mom's. Same goes for Dandadan season 2. Season 2 now has 2 directors compared to season 1 only having Fuga Yamashiro. Season 2 added Abel Gongora, an in-house staff for Science Sorrow, who directed Scott Pilgrim and did some key animation work in Dandadan, and also who storyboarded, directed the Dandadan opening. And yes, if you're wondering, he's from Spain, Barcelona. So there's maybe an indication that season 2 might have a tighter schedule. We already saw that the second half of season 1 is inferior compared to the first half, and also maybe a major part of that is Masaki Yuasa leaving and making another studio just recently. So maybe the practices are a bit different. Of course, these are the same as Sakamoto Days, where they are just glorified 2-cored 1-season anime because they are producing it at the same time. Like season 1 finished, then straight away to season 2. That's why season 3 of Soul Leveling, there's a big delay. Or maybe they're hiding the fact that the director is working on another show somewhere else. And the fans busy comparing Soul Leveling and all other mysteries frame count. Look at me guys, I'm a retard! What? But the most important thing that they quote-unquote remove or change to make it better is more on the compositing side. My biggest complaint for the anime is the unnecessary texturing work. Not just art direction, that's a different case, but also in the characters. Like, this is not a case of scheduling issues. If you remove these textures, it will be better. It is a choice. It looks a bit too much and not appealing in a way. It's a less cleaner way compared to how anime do shading and coloring such. It's a lot in the coloring department. not the actual coloring part, with having gradients and these weird shading that has like blurred edges in a way. I don't know if they just use another brush to like make the color softer or something, I don't know. That also goes to the uniforms. Osaragi's dress is the worst example at that, and it's even worse in the darker setting. It's more visible. Same goes with the texturing work for objects like this shitty ass T-Rex skeleton and weapons. I mean, what the fuck was this T-Rex, man? Again, they go heavy with the textures that becomes overbearing. Like these textures belongs to the stuff that don't move. So if you apply that to stuff that is actually moving, then that's just straight up eye infection. But for part 2, they change up the aesthetic approach a lot in a good way to make things visually pleasing while not adding too much. I feel like there's just the original color design for the characters without the overbearing textures. It's cleaner and softer. The shading and colors are simpler in a way if you compare the shading side by side. Part 2 are again the norm for anime usually. It's definitely a bit more saturated, and the positive is that you can appreciate the drawing quality more because the comp is helping it too. If you just put some of the characters side by side, clearly see the difference on how part 2 makes things less processed compared to part 1. That leads to a cleaner visual aesthetic. The more softer color palette, the unnecessary texture work is removed, and everything else. I kind of get what they were trying to do, but at the same time, it really didn't work in my opinion. Osaragi's saw is way better in part 2. They still play around with heavy lighting for some scenes, and it looks good. There's no complaints for me. It creates this tenseness, is that even a word, in the environment. Overall, judging from the trailer, there's more stuff that's set in a more darker setting, and from the looks of things, it's cleaner, doesn't disrupt the overall aesthetic of it. I know some people just look at the animation or movement being the most important shit ever. It is, but if you don't have good storyboards, action direction, or just direction overall, then it will not have that same impact. Just look at the last couple of episodes of Fire Force Season 3 right now. It has bursts of good animation, but overall it lacks competent direction like we used to have for previous seasons, and the boards are pretty basic. Although we can't really say much about part 2 right now, the trailer that they draw for us looks like it will be an improvement compared to part 1. I know the content is gas, so hopefully they can follow that up in the anime. I know this is a filler video, but I don't care. If you missed my last video, if I didn't unpublish it yet, I have a second channel for One Piece stuff, and on Twitch there's some other stuff soon. So yeah, self-plug. If you guys like this video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a like. Comment down below what your thoughts about Sakamoto Days Part 2 trailer. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys next time.